Thank you, choir. Good morning. So our story this morning is a very popular, well-known time for all ages that's told in UU congregations, it's told in Christian churches, it's a story from the Bible. And when I was looking for a story to tell this week that would go with Reverend Ed's sermon, and I came across this story and I thought, well, that would be perfect. And I went and looked at the list of all the stories I've told over the past 7 years, because of course I keep a list like that. And because I wanted to make sure I hadn't told this story recently. And actually, I've never told this story, which is kind of funny, because it's a story many of you probably know, but you've never heard it from me. So here is how it goes. Once, a lawyer asked Jesus, "How do I get into the kingdom of heaven?" And Jesus replied, "You love God, and you love your neighbor." And the lawyer, wanting more information, of course, said, "Who is my neighbor?" And so Jesus told this story in a story. You get a bonus. It's a 2-for-1 deal today. Jesus said, "Once there was a merchant." A merchant is a person who sells things. Once there was a merchant walking along. So a merchant is someone who would have a lot of money with them and probably like the goods that they were selling. The merchant was walking along and was attacked by a group of robbers. The robbers stole all of the merchant's goods and all of the merchant's money, and not only did they steal everything, but they also beat up the poor merchant. And they left him just lying there on the side of the road. Now, the merchant he couldn't move, he couldn't cry out for help. He was in really, really bad shape after this attack. Along came a priest, and the merchant was excited because the priest was a holy man from the temple, and the merchant thought, "Oh, this is someone who will help me. This is someone who I know should be a helpful person, someone who is trained in the ways of the religious law." And what did the priest do when he saw the merchant who was lying there, bruised and beaten? What did he do? Does anyone know? Nothing. He walked on by. He actually went off to this other side of the road and just scurried on past. My goodness. So then along came a Levite. A Levite was not a priest, but like a second in command in the temple. Also another holy person, another person who had religious duties.
DRE.
Sure, okay, DRE. Thanks, Bob, for throwing me under the bus in this story. So along came the DRE. Great. Whatever. And she was walking along and saw the merchant lying there on the side of the road. And what did the DRE do? Nothing. My goodness, what a shame. The DRE in our story walked right on past. Now, along came one more person. This person was dressed very shabbily, was walking along with a donkey. And the merchant saw that this was a person who was from Samaria, a Samaritan. He could tell by the way this person looked. Now, what you need to know is that the merchant came from a country that was at war with the Samaritans. Those two groups of people didn't like each other at all. They were sworn enemies. They hated one another. And the merchant knew that the Samaritan would absolutely not help him. In fact, maybe the Samaritan would come along and just kick him while he was down just for the fun of it. And you know what? Even if the Samaritan tried to help him, he probably wouldn't do a good job of it, because everyone knew the Samaritans were idiots and they probably wouldn't even be able to help him. But you know what happened? When the Samaritans saw the poor merchant lying there, hurt, his heart was filled with compassion. He didn't see his enemy. He saw a human being in pain and in need. And he went over and he bandaged the merchant's wounds. And he took the man and he put him on his donkey. And he walked him over to an inn, to a place where the man could get care and help. And he used his money to give the innkeeper money so that the man could get a room to stay in. And he paid for medicine and he paid for care for the man. He told the innkeeper to take care of the man until the Samaritan could come back and check in on him. So Jesus said to the lawyer, "Who was the neighbor in this story?" And the lawyer responded, "The man who showed kindness." And Jesus said, "Go and do the same then." Thank you for listening to my story today.